struck him out.
2 balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swinging a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Welcome on, Freddie Taylor.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Scott Geirman. This is DodgerHeads presented by DodgerBlue.com. I'm senior staff writer at Dodger Blue. Here with my good buddy, Blake Williams, managing editor. It's a Thursday night post game for us. How we doing, man?
Yeah, doing pretty good. I can't remember the last time we had a post game, and now we're going to have 2 in a row with us taking Tuesday next week. So it's different. We usually get those off days because that's just how the schedule has worked out recently. And then the Sundays. So yeah. I mean, here we are, post game.
Right on. Chat, welcome in, you guys. Appreciate you all being here. Thanks for joining us beforehand. Big night. Awesome night. Dodgers take 2 of 3 from the Baltimore Orioles. They wrap off a 7-2 homestand. Before we kick right into that, initial thoughts on this 3-game set that we saw just now, Blake?
It was good. I think a lot of people had high expectations coming into the series, like not necessarily from a Dodger standpoint, but just baseball in general. They're 2 of the top teams in baseball that were facing off. So you're going to kind of get good baseball either way. Maybe a potential World Series preview here with both these clubs playing the way they are this year. So It was good to see. It was good to see the Dodgers take 2 of 3. And it was a great series. They probably could have won another one there, but overall strong games for them.
Absolutely. You know, it felt like the Dodgers had very well could have had a sweep here. I think you agree with that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so they lose the game that it felt like they should have won, and they won 2 games. They took care of Corbin Burns. What's up, Chad Godfrey? Welcome in, you guys. Will, good to have you, man. And then tonight against Cade Povich, Bobby Miller, we'll get into him a bunch, but right now, as the Dodgers stand, you know, Arizona Diamondbacks lost today. San Diego Padres lost today. So 3 wins in one day. Dodgers have a 4-game lead over the D-backs. Padres, 5-game lead there. First team to 80 wins, buddy. How we doing?
Surprised? I mean, I think if you told me before the season,
you got a Blake smile. We got a big Blake smile tonight.
If you told me the Dodgers would be the first team to 80 wins before the season started, I would have said, of course, like no doubt about it. Did they do that in July? Like that's just how talented the team was. But with how the season has played out so far, it's definitely been a struggle for them. I think it's fair to say they've even underperformed their expectations a bit, which is crazy to say as they sit here with the best record in baseball. But that's how it's gone. They've had a ton of injuries. They've had guys struggling. I mean, they lost one of their top players for a few months. They were without Muncy for a few months. Their rotation has been like patchwork for most of the season. The bullpens had their struggles because of that rotation. So it's surprising that they're here, but also when you look at the talent of the team and you know, like, what the Dodgers are as an organization and how they build their team, and they don't panic. They stay steady throughout a season. It's not surprising that they're in this spot either.
Absolutely. Real quick, shout out to everybody being here. We got 500 in the building early. We're going to let everybody trickle in, but do us an absolute big favor. Take a second, hit the like button, please. It does wonders for us on the algorithm. Hit the like, subscribe, ring the notification bell. If you're joining in here for the first time, we appreciate you. If you are a longtime listener, again, you're the best. We're not here without you. Blake and I, as always, very appreciative of all the support that we get on here. We were juiced about a night like tonight. Hopefully it followed up with a win, and it did. But we saw a lot of chatter. You know, yesterday on the stream last night about the Dodgers won without doing a lot of hits. They had 14 tonight. A lot of small ball. A lot of what is that? What's the thing? What is that again? No, barrels are overrated. Barrels are overrated. A lot of those base hits today. Baltimore chop leads to 2 runs. Austin Barnes felt like he was a big part of the equation. So scoring started early tonight. I think we're ready to get into it. We'll ask for everybody's MVP later on. But initial thoughts were going into this series that I just wanted the Dodgers to take care of business. Just take care of business, win 2 of 3. If a sweep was perfect, fine. But 2 of 3 is great against the Orioles. They're a terrific ball club. It felt like the Dodgers pitching staff kept them completely at bay, and the Dodgers could have swept them. So 2 of 3, I'll take it. Sweep would have been beautiful. We're going to keep with this. So going into Arizona, now the expectations, I'm not going to say are lesser, but now we're getting to a point where they created an extra game of separation. So big day today. Very excited. we're just going to get straight into it. We're going to get straight into the recap. Tonight, Dodgers win 6-3, 7-2 homestand. Kike Hernandez starts it off in the second inning with a rip double. Kike's a guy that we've seen, since the glasses thing. He's been someone that when you have him in there, a little bit extra pep in the step, a little more confidence from us, right, Blake?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it helps when you can see the ball. That's kind of the number one thing of hitting. If you can't see the ball, you're not going to hit. And that was the case for Kike. I think there's a concern creeping back in when he went on like that week or two slump there for a bit where he wasn't hitting again after his hot stretch there. But I mean, he seems to be evening out that a little more. It's not so highs and lows from what we've seen from him. And he doesn't need to be an elite player for this team. You don't even need him to be a great player. Like, you just need him to come in and be solid. And if he's going to do that, he's going to be a valuable player. And that's what he's kind of been doing so far. So it's been great to see. Hopefully he can keep it going.
Absolutely. So for Kike, like, platoon wise, it was great to see him. This was his at least one extra base hit in 5 consecutive starts versus a left-handed pitcher. And the Dodgers against lefties this year have had kind of a renaissance year. It's something they haven't done in quite some time. Usually against right-handed starters, right-handed pitchers, that is their strength. But it's a very pleasant surprise right now and all season that they've been plus against lefties. And it's great that Kike, right away when he was coming around, he had those reverse splits, but now him kind of separating himself and being that, platoon guy and filling in quite nicely for Freddie Freeman at first base has been a joy as well. Chris Taylor follows in, one with, 2 of his hard hit singles in the game. He knocks in Kike. Dodgers lead 1-0 there. Taylor's second base hit in the 4th inning, Gavin Lux did a really nice job slicing a ground rule double down the left field line. So right there, you have second and third. And Austin Barnes with the infield drawn in, hits a high chopper, plates 2 runs. Some catcher production. How'd you like that?
I mean, they haven't had a whole lot of that since Fiducia's last start there. And it's been unfortunate because we have high expectations for Will Smith, but he hasn't been getting the job done. So it was nice to see Austin Barnes come through there. I think there's a little bit of luck there involved. Like, we can't fully say like Austin Barnes needs to be the starter because of that or anything, but it was good to see. It was just kind of one of those nights where a lot of things were going right for the Dodgers, and Austin Barnes benefited from that.
Absolutely. David, we got a little bit of news on Freddy. Stay tuned. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But yeah, it's good to get Austin Barnes back for the, how he's been with the lack of consistent production from Will Smith. We bank on him being able to turn that around. We do. But it's nice to see Austin Barnes, come in there, have a competitive at bat, put a ball in play. Good things happen, especially from a guy like Austin Barnes there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Real quick, can we throw out Austin Barnes stole a base with a broken toe still? Like, that's kind of mind-boggling that he's able to do that and like thought about doing that.
Where somebody put it in here. Somebody put it in here. He's a gritty Austin Barnes. He's a dog, man. He's been there. I didn't know Austin Barnes is 34. Did you know that?
Yeah, he's. I thought he might have been 35 already, but now he's up there.
I had no idea. We got our first super chat here again, guys. Toss those in. We'll stop what we're doing. Yeah, Barnes is tough as nails, Nomo. 300. We appreciate you, man. Always good to see you. Big night for us. Good win. Bobby Miller and Walker pitched well. Still wouldn't trust him in the playoffs. Was very underwhelmed by Adley Rutschman. Seemed heavy and slow. Thoughts on that?
I feel like a lot of the Orioles kind of underperformed. I think we have to give some credit to the Dodger pitching there because the Orioles hitters are very good, and to be held in check throughout most of the series, tip your cap to the Dodgers pitching there. They had a good game plan. They executed and held them in check. Adley's one of the top catchers in baseball. It seems like one of the things where if you only watch like Mookie Betts in the postseason last year, you'd say like, this guy isn't good at baseball. Why do people hype him up? It's just, there's ups and downs that players go through. Like, were you just talking about Shohei Ohtani was the only player without a hit tonight? Like, if you were only watching this game, you're going to say Ohtani wasn't good. Like, who is this guy? Why is everyone hyping him up? So I think it's kind of just that thing with Adley. He's a great player, and the Dodgers were fortunate that he didn't come through and beat them.
Yeah, bullpen's been terrific. It's a pleasant surprise with Walker Buehler and Bobby Miller, 2 guys kind of on the similar planes right now, opposite ends of their career, but trying to find their feet, trying to find their footing underneath them. And it was good that, as we said, I talked about this with Walker Buehler and Bobby Miller after his last start. that they're not the reason. They haven't been the reason lately that they've been losing games. They've been keeping him within striking distance, and it just takes a good bullpen to keep that at it. And then Dodgers are very fortunate to have a bullpen right now on so much of a heater in the month of August. They are, I believe, top 3 in Major League Baseball, top 4 in the month of August. So receiving a ton of production there. We'll pick back up in the 4th. Mookie Betts with Austin Barnes on second base. Drives in Austin Barnes with a sharp ground ball towards a right field gap, like 100 off the bat, plates a run. Teoscar walks right after it, moves Mookie Betts second base. Tommy Edman, man. Tommy Edman's a contributor. Mr. Tom Edman. I know fans would like him. We knew they would like him. You like what you're seeing from Tom?
Yeah, he's the kind of player that every team just loves to have. You hate to play against him. You love him on your team. He's never going to be a superstar. He's never going to be like a 20 home run guy, 300 average, just star level player. But he's just the guy you love to have on your team. Kind of like what Prime Kike was for a bit when he was just in that utility role. Everyone loved him. He was contributing, just a solid guy to have on the club. And that's what Tommy Edman is. Like, you don't need that star level production. You just know you're going to get quality plate appearances, elite defense, and fantastic base running every time he's on the field. And that's the kind of things that fans love when they're watching. Like, he's not going to go up there striking out, taking selfish at bats. He's a very team first player, and he's a fun, nice guy. A lot of people in the clubhouse like him. I'm sure fans are going to keep gravitating toward him. So yeah, he's the perfect Dodger to have.
There he is. You heard it right here from Blake. Perfect Dodger. Yeah, Kira, Mr. Tom Edman. We're going to keep with that. I love it. Rojas follows it up. It's good to see him back in the lineup. A little bleeder, plates another run there. And at that point, Dodgers are up 5-0 in the bottom of the 4th. And, Bobby Miller right then was doing his thing. He didn't look as good this time out. We'll wait till we wrap it up to really dive in. Runs into the biggest trouble of the game, and it kind of highlighted the issues that he was going through throughout the entire night. Starts off the inning, hit by pitch, Eloy Jimenez. I believe it was the first pitch, just a sinker that got in way too inside. Gets Cedric Mullins ground out. He walks Ramon Urias. Cedric Mullins on second base, first and second, 1 out. Jackson Holiday, force out. And then you've got Colton Cowser, who has been a big bright spot for the Baltimore Orioles this year. Gets a 3-1 fastball, right in nitro zone, 5-3. And last night when he asked predictions of this game, I said Bobby Miller was going to go 5 innings, and I thought he would allow 2 or 3. Just because of if he gets behind, you have a notion that he's going to try to force a fastball there. And tonight, his fastball command was way off. He had some pretty changeups all night long. Curveballs, he was getting some bite, but it just looked like his fastball command just wasn't there.
Yeah, for sure. That's kind of been a problem for him all year, mainly with all his pitches, but especially the fastball command, which is his bread and butter there. He builds off the fastball rather than pitching behind or anything. Of course, he has the 100-mile-per-hour fastball that you tend to want to build off of that, but he just hasn't been able to do it. So if hitters can kind of eliminate that pitch from being a strike or just being a competitive pitch, it's easier to sit on the off-speed stuff, and it comes back to hurt him all the time. And there's another thing tonight. His strikeout rate dropped a ton. I think he was at like a 23 whiff rate percent instead of the 30% he was at, which was really encouraging his last time out. So
yeah,
it's a concern that he hasn't been able to stay consistent and keep with his adjustments that he made or figure out whatever's bothering him. But just was another kind of sluggish outing tonight. I do give him credit for keeping them in the game and giving them a chance to win, which of course they did end up winning.
Absolutely.
And you'll take 5 innings, 3 runs every time out pretty much from him. But going into the season, you had such high expectations for him, and he just hasn't met it. And you kind of built some hope from it his last time out, and then he just regresses back to tonight.
Yeah. We'll get into a little bit of, what he was going through. But the 7th inning, Bobby Miller gives us, tonight goes 5. Anthony Banna comes in, works a solid 6th inning. And then in the 7th, we got to see Daniel Hudson for the first time in quite a long time. Were you surprised they brought him in a 5-3 game right there?
No, because Dave Roberts said yesterday he was going to pitch today regardless of anything. Yep. It's been 10 days since he last pitched, and Roberts said that was due to kind of give him a reset. He's pitched a lot this year. He hasn't thrown 50 innings in years now. So it's kind of a reset for him, both physically and mentally. So you probably don't want to run him out there in like the 8th or 9th inning.
Sure.
Like you kind of had to put him in that spot there. So it is what it is. I mean, we've kind of had the alarm sounded on Daniel Hudson for a bit now, and it was discouraging to see him come out there and struggle after his reset.
Absolutely.
Period.
Yeah. So Daniel Hudson goes quick 1-2, gets 2 outs right away, gives up a single to Jackson Holiday. And then he has back-to-back walks on 6 pitches to Colton Cowser and Adley Rutschman. So very tough spot. And then Dave Roberts calls on Blake Trinan, who gets Gunnar Henderson striking out swinging, who they really kept at bay. And I was very impressed with the way the pitching staff, what he echoed about the game planning to that. You got to see a ton of emotion from Blake Trinan there. Gets him swinging on a beautiful cutter that fluttered towards the middle, top part of the zone, but just had so much action on it. Get a punch end of the inning. Trinan goes back out there and stays in for the top of the 8th. Goes 1, 2, 3, and then you turn it over. Tommy Edman adds 1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. Turn it over to Evan Phillips there. Works around a hit by pitch, takes care of business. Do you love what you saw from Evan Phillips tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty good since he went through that struggles there. Like, I want to say his last 10 outings or so, it's been good. He gave up that homer when he was trying to close the other night, where everyone was complaining that Dave Roberts brought in Kopech in the 8th and Phillips in the 9th. But I mean, homers happen. You're going to get beat from time to time. I think overall, Evan Phillips has really bounced back, and he's looking like a big contributor in the bullpen again after his stretch there of poor outings.
Yeah. Eric, I don't need to speak on 11 left on base. They had a lot of opportunities tonight, 14 hits. I mean, you go 5 for 13 with runners in scoring position. You do enough. The big swing I would have loved to have had that happen. But you do enough. Like 6-3, that's a good ball game there. It wasn't off of gifted errors. It wasn't like, yesterday's game where Dodgers could have done more. But tonight you put ball in the play, you put ball in play, and good things happen. So I really loved what I saw from them tonight. Eliminated strikeouts in those big spots here. You had a lot of their big bats. Teoscar Hernandez working walks, Mookie Betts taking care of business. And like Blake said, Shohei Ohtani was the only person to not have a hit tonight. And the Dodgers took care of business, man. Win's a win. Yeah, Eric, great win tonight. I have nothing. There should be nothing to critique. An arm like Cade Povich, he's really struggled since they called him up. He was solid in AAA. In Major League Baseball, Cade Povich is at a very tough time. And this was one of those matchups where you cannot lose this. We got a couple super chats here. Rod, thank you so much, man. Everybody was hitting except Ohtani. Baseball is a absolutely wonderfully unpredictable sport. Darn right it is.
Yeah, that's what makes it so fun. Like, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what you're going to see. You can expect everything, and then it's always the unexpected that happens. So I guess if you expect the unexpected, you're going to expect baseball.
Absolutely.
So, all the fun of it.
Yeah, no, a game like tonight, yesterday they have no hits, people noticing that, you win a ball game, but you notice it comes in kind of an ugly fashion. Didn't do it yourself, and you'd like the big swing. You'd like that always. You'd like them to put some rallies together. But on a night like tonight, just get it out there, see what happens. It's small ball, and it's what a lot of the fans of that don't like 3 true outcome baseball like to see. Get it out there, go with the pitch. Don't try to do too much. Exactly. I love the at bat. I'm gonna circle. I know a lot of people are gonna say, drop in the comments real quick who your MVP of tonight was. But an at bat that I really liked was Gavin Lux. Just for the fact that, you get that pitch down away, don't try to do too much, put it down the left field line. He's been scuffling a bit. I think they said that that's his first hit since last Wednesday, and he comes around, has 2 tonight. So yeah, let me know in the comments. Let Blake and I know who your MVP of today is. But we've got a couple more super chats here from Godfrey. Can I give a shout out to my sister-in-law, Lisa? She told me about your show, and now I'm hooked. Well, Godfrey, shout out to your sister-in-law, Lisa. We appreciate her. We appreciate you. You've been in here all the time. So you're always supporting us. We're here to bring you, thoughts, questions, concerns, talk about them, table whatever the flavor of the day is, and bring you the 31 flavors of what Blake brings to the table with his hat. What do you got on tonight?
This Kylo Ren hat. Got him under the bill here or there. So, yeah. Didn't see anyone bringing it up this time, though. I've been mixing it up every time because everyone's loved the
He's
hat.
pissed.
So a little disappointed in the chat
He's
tonight.
pissed. All right, we've seen a lot of Austin Barnes. Bullpen's the MVP. Yeah, man. It's you can go either way. It's good to see Austin Barnes back, though. It's good to see him. Like, as much as Hunter Fiducia, it was great to see him have his first knock. Always nice seeing guys getting called up, get some run there. But it's good to have Austin Barnes back. I love the fact that in a spot where I enjoyed him, or I would say, like, go talk to the pitcher. Give him a second, let him breathe. Austin Barnes is a vet. He knows those perfect times. It's good. I really like the approach of not force feeding fastballs. I would like to see how Bobby Miller operated tonight if his fastball was more in the zone, and go from there. If he had Walker Buehler level command with pound in the strike zone, I would have been a whole different story just because of the changeups that Bobby Miller was snapping, man. Absolutely snapping. First inning, he looked like he had something working. So we'll see. It definitely, we'll get into, we'll just talk about it right now. Do you think that, Bobby Miller took a tiny step back tonight with what he had working last week?
I think so, but we've got some information about Bobby Miller that just came out from postgame. We have Matt covering out there tonight. So He said, Miller said he's been pitching through a left knee issue and the training staff has helped him manage it, but he thinks he'll be able to keep pitching through it, but it is something to watch. I mean, of course, the left knee is going to be his plant leg, so all your momentum's going there, and it can be tough if you're dealing with an injury there. So We'll see if maybe that is the reason that he kind of took a step back, or just in general that he's regressed this year. I know players tend not to blame injuries for their struggles generally, but that is a pretty significant thing if that is the reason that he struggled this year or just recently in general.
Yeah, Scott, he was tough tonight. It's always good to, an injury like that, pitcher could definitely, come out of the game. If it's anything, if it's a nagging thing and they don't want to make it worse, if the training staff says he can deal with it, Bobby Miller knows what's at stake for his season. He certainly does. And coming out of a game for something he could potentially pitch through, I think he's okay doing it. I'm taking it as, like, I know the stuff took a step, kind of a step back in terms of, the command of his fastball. But the life on his secondary stuff was absolutely electric. Like, it was a few innings, like he faces the minimum in the first two frames where you go, okay, like, we know the guy. This is the guy that Blake said that, he had more of a runway than Walker Buehler and a potential for the postseason. It's so hard to gauge arms like this that are so volatile and walking a fine line of whether they're going to find their mechanics, they're going to find that path. And it's good to see them take minor steps there. I understand that the command took a little bit of a step back, but I'm very happy that his changeup had so much success and he was putting it so much around the plate because the metrics have been terrific all year on that. It was just good for him to find some of that command there. It's just the reason why Bobby Miller wasn't more successful, because of his fastball command. All right, we got a couple more of these here. Hawaiian Cura. Love how this game was a win without any home runs. It's been a few. We've had a couple of those recently. I remember talking about them. Even with runners left on, it was great to see the lower half of the lineup come through and get hits. What do you got on that, man?
I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we've talked about all year. If the bottom of the lineup is going to contribute what the top half of the lineup does, like, this team's going to be really hard to beat, even if their pitching isn't on point every game. If you're having to battle through a lineup that your top four is some combo of Ohtani, Mookie, Freeman, Smith will throw in there still, Teoscar and Muncy, and then it's like, oh yeah, and also Gavin Lux, Tommy Edman, and whoever else they throw at the bottom of the lineup is now actually hitting. Like, that's tough for any pitcher. Like, doesn't matter how good you are. We saw they kind of lit up Corbin Burns a bit, and he's one of the front runners for the AL Cy Young Award. Like, this is a tough lineup when everyone's clicking, and they just have so much talent. It's such a deep group there, and now with the depth that they've added, it's going to be tough for a lot of teams to compete with them on a nightly basis.
A lot of the year, we just had, we're preaching and hoping that a lot of people would see what we saw, that the role-playing guys and the rotational pieces at the bottom of the order, it didn't feel like years past. And we'll preach that the rest of the time when we look back on this team, that it was the role players and the platoon guys who didn't have their footing, didn't have their place early on in the year. And now you have, guys like Gavin Lux separating themselves, Kike Hernandez, Miguel Rojas contributing in his own right, and Chris Taylor. It was, I know the hits were weak, bleeding stuff, but positive results build on themselves. So whatever that is, it's good to see production from the bottom of the order. Again, it was on a night against Cade Povich that you had to take care of business there. And against a Baltimore bullpen that was solid, has been solid all year long, but made them work. Dodgers made them work. They always do. They're very patient. It sometimes gets them in trouble, but when it works out, it's definitely something to really pinpoint. Rich, we got another one here. Thanks for the $5, Rich. Always good to have you in, man. Thank you so much for being here. Blake is a credentialed member of the press. Is it an insult to him that the Dodgers are very dishonest with injury reports? It's been a clown show.
To a degree, I guess. I think there's a lot that goes into it. I think sometimes the Dodgers actually don't have real updates on guys. It's hard to give an exact timeline for when a guy's going to come back. You can't predict how well someone's actually going to heal from an injury or how quickly. So with all injuries, things are going to change, especially where they're asking for updates pretty much every day on a guy. There's not a whole lot that changes in between each day. If it was more of we ask every 2 weeks or once a month even, I think you would see a lot more consistency in the reports about injuries.
Yeah.
So I do think it's just in general, a lot of times people are different, injuries healed in different ways. I think another factor is the Dodgers don't want to give opposing teams any information. You don't want to say hey, Freddie Freeman could be available, so you want to save your reliever, or you don't want to say he's not going to be available at all, so bring in your best reliever right now in this key situation instead of maybe saving him for later. So it's kind of a chess game back and forth. I think the Dodgers do try and give somewhat general updates, but things change, players get hurt and have setbacks and everything. So there's a lot that goes to it. It has been kind of a running joke this year that if Dave gives an update, it's going to be wrong and we have to adjust.
Could there be some gamesmanship there at all?
I think so. Yeah. You don't want to give the other team too much information away. You're trying to win a game every night. You want to keep the other team guessing more than giving them your complete and total game plan away.
That's why, when you always bring it up about hockey, how do they kind of designate those? Just lower leg injury?
It's just upper body injury, lower body injury, day to day, week to week. It's just, hockey's funny with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's no problem there. I'm sure it's what's he going through? But hey, that's how it goes. Major League Baseball. It's good that we have kind of a frustrating meme to kind of, lean on a lot of the time. But Blake, he's a credentialed reporter. He's always in there. He gets the pulse. He's in here with, Dave Roberts, all the players. He's face to face with these guys. So give him a follow on Twitter. It's @ByBlakeWilliams. He's awesome. When he puts out those quotes, he's at the game. Either he's running personal account or the Dodger Blue account, always putting out terrific quotes there. He gets the stuff correct and won't put it out if it's not. So give him a follow. Appreciate you guys on that.
Unless Dave lies to us.
Unless Dave lies to us. And then you tell me, and then we laugh about it. And then we really feel what's going on there. Final thoughts on Bobby Miller, man, because we had the conversation about, I was on Clint's show earlier, and the confidence in Walker Buehler between the two of them. I don't know if it's between one and two of them, but if it is Bobby Miller or Walker Buehler, where do you kind of feel they're both at in their development to kind of getting back to where they feel comfortable?
It's kind of a tough one. I still think Bobby Miller has the better stuff. I don't think anyone's going to debate that. Mm-hmm. And anytime your stuff is that good, I think you're naturally going to have a higher ceiling.
Yeah.
But I do kind of think Bobby Miller also has the lower floor right now, which might be a little surprising to a lot of people to hear because I've been very low on Walker Buehler this year. But with Walker Buehler's last two starts, they've been pretty encouraging. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to get back to being an ace or anything like that. But I could see him being a solid contributor for the team moving forward with everything he said about himself and Dave Roberts has said about him. It seems like there is something actually there that has kind of clicked for Walker Buehler, where he is starting to get back on track. And he doesn't need to be an ace for this team. He just needs to go out there and be competitive and give them a chance to win every night. And I do feel like he can do that. If he's going to be a 4 or 5 ERA pitcher moving forward, like that's completely fine. And that's usable for where the Dodgers are at for the rest of the season here. Is it good enough to make the postseason? Probably not if everyone's healthy. If everyone is not healthy, that's a different conversation there. And then you're probably hitting the panic alarm a little more, but
Yeah,
it does seem like Buehler can be a solid contributor. Whereas Miller, especially if he's dealing with an injury that he has to manage and is affecting him, it's a little more shaky there because he hasn't been good for the entire season. And even though this stuff is great, he just hasn't been able to put it together for whatever reason that is. And then coupled in with the injury, it is a concern.
absolutely. And chat, we're going to get you involved in this next, segment here. We've got a, kind of stuff between Bobby Miller and Tyler Glasnow here. Really voice off your thoughts in the chat because it's getting to the point with Tyler Glasnow in the information we're getting and the timeline on him and how serious is this injury he's going through. And Bobby Miller's, we'll call it a subtle step back tonight with his feel and his command, and how they could create, some rotation concerns. Projectability towards the postseason is kind of all we can do at the moment, because if they're going to click, then they're going to take it the rest of the way. So what we can do is start projecting some stuff out, talking about viability for the postseason, because Bobby Miller's last start against Tampa Bay, he had a 71% strike percentage, 18 whiffs, man. Like, that's a shove. 6 innings, he gets 9 punch outs. And then tonight, exactly what it was. He goes 5 innings, allows 3 earned runs, kind of struggles a little bit after he goes clean sheet in first 2 innings there, 3 walks, only gets 3 strikeouts there. So really a mixed bag today for whatever you wanted to believe. He had, landed 42% of his pitches in the strike zone. So from where he was last time, a fairly significant, step back in terms of being in and right around the zone. What do you make of that, and how important is it, going ahead?
He definitely needs to be in the strike zone. That's the biggest thing for him. His stuff is good. His stuff is good enough to get outs even when he's in the strike zone. So that's where he needs to be more often than not, and then build off that and get hitters to chase after he gets ahead of them. Right now, he's oftentimes falling behind, and then hitters are able to lay off his pitches outside the zone or take the close ones. And his stuff just isn't working together well when he is falling behind too much. So
Yeah.
The command is huge for him, like it is for most pitchers, but some pitchers, they can kind of get around it a little more with their elite stuff and able to set their pitches up off of each other. But Miller just isn't able to do that this year for whatever reason it is. So it is important for him for sure.
Yeah. And, it's like I said, he had 5 whiffs on that changeup. I loved it. I've loved it for a bit all season long, even when he was bad. It's like, damn, and he's, that changeup, if he starts landing that, starts finding some good tunnels here, really working quadrants of the strike zone, you could see some success there. But he didn't get 1 whiff on his fastball tonight. I don't know how for sure that is. Is that for sure? Yeah, that's for sure. He didn't get 1 whiff on his fastball. How concerning is that? And with where Walker Buehler was at last night, you could see a little bit of swing and miss stuff there. So for Bobby Miller, it's going to have to be, finding that fastball command start to start and not being able right out of the gate, look fine, and then have the wheels start to come off pretty quick here. But with Tyler Glasnow, what's the latest update with him, and what do we make of that?
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been following the Glasnow saga, he first went on the IL on August 16th, I believe it was, and he was supposed to start playing catch like 3 or 4 days after that, but he didn't because they still saw some stuff there. There's still some concern. And then he did start playing catch, I think it was 5 days later, and he came out of that. Dave Roberts said he was feeling good. There was no pain there or anything, and everything was good. And then he didn't throw again. There's a follow-up asked to Roberts about it, like, why was it pushed back? And then Dave said, oh, actually, he wasn't feeling good. He came out of it poorly. Mm-hmm. So, back to that meme we were just talking about with Dodger injury updates here. But, yeah, he's supposed to now throw again on Friday, which is tomorrow if you're watching now. So they're hoping he gets through that well, and then he'll throw again on Saturday or Sunday, depending, and kind of start building up. But Roberts said it's going to be a slower process for him now. He's got to throw 60, 90, 120, out past that and everything, then throw off a mound, then face hitters and all that and then even now go on a rehab assignment, which they originally said he wouldn't need a rehab assignment, but now it's been longer. So he does need a rehab assignment. So that's kind of where we are. It is a lot. And Roberts was asked, like, is Glasnow going to pitch this year? And his reply was, we're hopeful. So it's not entirely reassuring. It's not what people want to hear. It's concerning for the Dodgers. Hopeful, it kind of implies like there's a real chance he doesn't come back, and we're just kind of hoping he does come back. So it is a concern for them, but we'll see how he comes out of it tomorrow and what goes on over the next few days. I think that's going to be really telling, and what he's able to do this year, these next few days are going to be key for him.
Yeah, I'd feel that if they were more concerned, it wouldn't be a question at all. And the fact that there is a window, and it was made me curious when Glasnow was very optimistic, saying he could pitch, and that there wasn't any reason to worry. And then all of a sudden, nothing else. And then we get a lot of mixed bags here over the next few updates. So I'm not going to sit here and say like we got it. They're seeing whole different things. If scans came out, if trainers, and there's some progression there and some stuff that Tyler Glasnow was just speaking on from just how he felt in the being a competitor and wanting to pitch, could be all a mix of everything. But it's just something to keep an eye on. If he's hopeful, Dave Roberts kind of just tosses some things out there and just lets it eat, essentially doesn't really care to give the entire thing, because what we've seen, you could get a whole entire 180 answer. So for now, I'm going to say, they're hopeful. And the fact that there is a runway for Glasnow to make it back, there is enough time. There's plenty of time for Tyler Glasnow to make it back to a mound, find a workload that, can be a front end guy in the postseason here. But yes, between Tyler Glasnow, Bobby Miller, how he was tonight, it's going to be, I'm not going to say that Bobby Miller's creating a concern, because we kind of know how volatile he can be. But I think that without being certain of a timeline for Tyler Glasnow, sure, there could be some rotation concerns. Rod, yeah, we watched the same game. Miller was, he was solid. It's just the fact that his fastball command took a huge step back from his last stuff. Like, I'll give him many more starts for the rest of the season, as many as he can. Like, get that in there. Absolutely. But it's just a matter of finding consistency and not saying, is he going to be okay today? It's because of how good he was last time out. That's something that I'm not saying that that's the expectation, that I would like him to be similar to that and not have such a deep drop off in his fastball command there.
I'm going to throw this one up. I do disagree with this, that no one in the media challenges Dave about everything he says. I think a lot of times when stuff gets posted on Twitter and people like follow up with, well, why wasn't Dave asked this or something like that? He usually pretty much was asked that question at some point. Doesn't always happen that specific day or anything, but Dave gets asked a lot, and if he gives relevant answers, they get tweeted or turned into a story, but not every answer is relevant. And sometimes there's follow-ups the next day or two after that. But I do think that a lot of the questions that fans have do get answered or asked at some point.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think of Tyler Glasnow? Like, where are you at kind of on gut feeling? Tells you that Tyler Glasnow, it's all in a good place here?
I think we're going to see a situation where he comes back for the NLDS, but he's limited to like 4 or 5 innings max. I think just with the timeline and all that, that is a real possibility. Dave was asked about today, like, is there a situation where Glasnow ends up pitching through pain in the postseason? Or are they totally just hoping that it's going to be a pain-free thing? And his reply was, right now we're trying to target pain-free, but that is a fair question to ask, and they don't know at this point. So I think there is a world where they kind of have to limit Glasnow a bit in the postseason, and I kind of feel like that's a track we're on, just hearing everything and following this along, unless there is some significant progress here soon.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. I won't be surprised if that's kind of how it goes. And I see somebody put in here, Adam, a very late September return. I think that's fair to say that it's going to be a short runway, but that's why we have so much hope in what Yoshinobu Yamamoto and his, availability and how much length he can give and making his way back to the team. That's why it's so important for him to tandem him with Jack Flaherty at the 1 and 2, Gavin Stone. And then, if Tyler Glasnow is ready and healthy and ready to go, you can piggyback somebody with him if you don't expect him to have a deep, availability pitch count ceiling there until, perhaps the second round, and you can tandem some with that, and then kind of let your bullpen go together. John, yeah, we did. Yeah, Blake and I both went to college together. Blake can tell him a story real quick if you want to toss that up.
Yeah, so me and Scott first met on Twitter, and then I think you DM'd me because you saw we were both going to see Sun, and then we were like, hey, we need to get some Dodger projects going here soon at some point. And then we kind of stayed in touch a bit after that, and then by coincidence, we ended up in the same class together. So that was pretty funny there. And then I joined Dodger Blue, and when we were looking to hire people, I got Scott brought in, and we've had this going pretty much since then, and it's been good.
It's been a great time. Absolutely great time. Yeah, John, thanks for the question there. I think we could look ahead. I think we could look ahead toward the Arizona Diamondbacks, Mantiquan, and lightsaber duel. Hey, I give Blake all the credit in the world for everything he does. I don't just joke and say he's the hardest working person. Blake is a dog. He's a grinder without a doubt. But I will rip him a new one for all the nerdy Star Wars stuff. But I kind of like Star Wars. I just don't like it on that level. But he's a wealth of knowledge. It's just so funny. I'll bring up something and make a joke about it, and then he'll just start, laying out like an A to Z book on how all this came together. Came together. Got to. Rod, appreciate you, man. Thanks for doing this. Thanks for being here. Good channel, no BS. The gimmick sound effects, great analysis. I mean, hey, a lot of content creators do what they do. Blake and I, we come on here, talk ball, we talk shop, and interact with chat, and we're very happy that we have a post game tonight because you guys have no clue how tough it is sometimes putting together an hour and 45 minutes when you've got no game to talk about. And everybody just wants to rip into the bullpen or Dave Roberts, blah, blah, blah. But now we get to talk about the Arizona Diamondbacks. We get to talk about that important series that we've got coming up here. I said about a week ago, ask Blake for a hot take. I will. Give me a sec. I got it cooking. A week ago, how this series upcoming against the Diamondbacks was the series of the year. I still think that. Because you look at it, if it's within that 4-game window, Dodgers are up for that. Worst case scenario, you could leave tied for the division, right? So if you're going into that, at the end of this series, with best case scenario, you go 3 of 4. What are you up 7 on the Diamondbacks? So it either can not make or break you, but it can create so much separation between the Arizona Diamondbacks that their sights to make up an 8-game lead or 6 to 8. Anywhere in that range, that's humongous, man. Like that's talking about then they set their sights on the wild card, and the Dodgers focus on either holding off the Padres and just a matter of getting themselves healthy and finding spots for all their guys. It's a massive one.
Yeah, I don't even think they'd technically be tied if the Dodgers were to get swept, because then the Diamondbacks would have sole possession of the season series and the tiebreaker. Right. So like in the standings, they'd be tied, but theoretically, like the Dodgers would be behind a game. So it is huge for them. They got to come out, and I think at minimum you have to take 2 games in the series. I think I would be happy. Like I wouldn't be happy with 2 games, but I'd be fine with that. You kind of keep pace in the division, and that's what you need to go do there. I'm going to say they win 3. I think they do that. I'm pretty sure Christian Walker is still injured.
Yes.
So
From what I saw, I mean, anybody in chat can tell me something different. If Torey Lovullo spoke on the availability of Christian Walker and Ketel Marte, I think that from what I saw yesterday, the latest from Torey Lovullo was that Christian Walker and Ketel Marte are targeted following the Dodgers series to make their return. So that's a huge update. That's an absolute huge update in terms of guys who rise up when they face the Dodgers. Ketel Marte was on an MVP, push performance outside of Ohtani before he got hurt. But, we know how Christian Walker is, man. Dodger killer.
Yeah. Those Diamondbacks first baseman always with Paul Goldschmidt there. Like stay away from them Dodgers. Got to watch out for Josh Bell now. But It is a big series for the Dodgers. They have to win. Like it could be the thing that determines the division this year. They don't have any more series with the Diamondbacks following this. I think their only other NL West games are 6 games versus the Padres at the end of the year and 3 versus the Diamondbacks, or not the Rockies. So yeah, like Rockies aren't going to be relevant in this, and the Padres are kind of creeping around there, but also falling behind. So it really seems like it's Dodgers or Diamondbacks, and the Dodgers do have a nice lead right now. But like we just said, the Diamondbacks could come back and take that lead from them. So it is a big series here. It's kind of the start of the postseason, it feels like a bit. Dave Roberts said the Dodgers are in playoff mode right now. They know what's at stake. They're trying to win. He said they don't want to like add pressure to themselves on this series, and they don't want to like put an extra gear on it, but I kind of feel like you need to do that a little bit. You don't want to completely add pressure and then fall apart because you're trying too hard and pressing, but you do need a sense of urgency when you're going out there and playing them.
Yeah, absolutely. Dodgers aren't getting swept. They're not getting swept this series. That's not happening. But I'm with down. Blake. You say what?
Someone write that down.
Write that down.
Just in case we have to come back to it.
Yeah, I mean, if they do that, that's on them. There's no juju in that sense. But the Diamondbacks have, starters lined up for this. They've got Zach Gallen, Merrill Kelly, Brandon Pfaadt, and then you guys tuned in Monday against Eddie Rodriguez. Eduardo said he didn't want to come to West Coast. He didn't want to do it. Dodger legend, Eduardo Rodriguez. He said, West Coast stinks. I'm never going out there. Trade deadline? I'm staying in Detroit. Standing on business in Motown, Detroit. So the probable starting pitchers for the Dodgers, I know what it says on some websites and things that Jack Flaherty's penciled into Sunday, but the actual rotations that the Dodgers are going to toss out right now is going to go Clayton Kershaw on Friday, Gavin Stone on Saturday, and then on Sunday, who are you hearing that they're putting out there?
It's not confirmed, but it seems like it's going to be Justin Wrobleski. They're going to give Flaherty an extra day after he was hit by the comebacker. Doesn't seem to be any major concern there, but kind of gives everyone a break. Lets them reset the rotation a little bit. You still get Flaherty versus the Diamondbacks, so that seems to be their plan right now. That would be Wrobleski's day to pitch in AAA anyways, so it's not changing too many things. And I know a lot of people probably are going to ask about Knack, but he doesn't seem like he's going to be an option again this year unless it's for a major injury, because once they call him back up, they'd have to keep him on their roster. They wouldn't be able to send him back down because of how the major league option rules work anymore. He'd have to clear waivers. Probably not going to happen again this year. He seems to be more like their break glass in case of emergency kind of guy.
Absolutely. And when we're big fans of Atlanta Knack on the channel. Absolutely. All of chat, you should be too. But with Justin Wrobleski, it lines up perfectly. A lot of the damage that he's given up this year is on a lot of solo, just, some homers, some solo shots there, gets into trouble in that sense. Big fastball guy, fills up the strike zone. Mistakes will happen with those young guys. But the Diamondbacks are a sub 500 team against left-handed starters. They're 22-25. So Clayton Kershaw going in the opener, and then you get Justin Wrobleski on Sunday in the third game. I'm fine with that. The biggest plus for those left-handed pitchers in the series projected with, Clayton Kershaw and Justin Wrobleski is that it keeps two of the hottest hitters in Major League Baseball off the field, I would say, unless they put Jake McCarthy out there every day, but also Jock Peterson, who is absolutely dominated against any right-handed pitching this year. Rake McCarthy, not a typo, Rake McCarthy has been unbelievable this year. He's had a crazy turnaround. It's two bats who, against lefties, you possibly get to miss.
I think McCarthy has been playing every day for them now. And yeah, I have him on my fantasy team. He's been filling in for me for my injured Mike Trout. So yeah, McCarthy has been playing every day. He's been doing phenomenal for them. And
line it up.
Jock versus righties, we know what he can do. He's been incredible versus them this year. So keeping him off the field is a plus for the Dodgers. McCarthy is still a challenge for them, but yeah, it's still a tough lineup. I think they lead MLB in runs still at this point. So it's not going to be like, hey, we're going in facing the Diamondbacks without their best hitters because Jock's on the bench and Christian Walker is injured and Ketel Marte is injured. It's still a really good group that the Dodgers are going to have to go in there and play good baseball against.
Yeah, and Corbin Carroll's had a solid turnaround here. He's had some slug. He's found a run here. So definitely not a rollover series, guys. Like it's definitely Corbin Carroll's last 30 days, he's OPSing over 950. So he's found a run there. Dynamic player. It's a series that, you could see again. the NL West has 3 of the hottest teams in Major League Baseball since the break. So it cannot go unnoticed. There's a reason why there's some pressure on the division here. It's because NL West, I saw somebody say in chat earlier, it's the best division right now.
Yeah, for sure. Real quick, gonna address this one. Trout. I did not waste a pick on him. It's a dynasty league. I've had Trout for 5 or 6 years now, so I just can't trade him because like no one's gonna trade value for Trout anymore. But also, if he's healthy for me, it's good for me to have him. But my team is pretty stacked. I may also have one Shohei Ohtani and one Aaron Judge and potentially a Jose Ramirez and Juan Soto.
Yes, and
So,
that is
stacked.
Blake. That is. I'll lead right into this here. When young Blake speaks, we bow down. I don't know how true that is. I'm not going to give you that much credit.
You should not bow down to me or anyone else. Be you. And yeah,
What a guy. What a guy. Well, I want to go start to start here with you and the probables and with what Clayton Kershaw against the Diamondbacks in Chase Field. What's something you're looking to see from him? I saw somebody say set the tone. What aside from that are you looking from, the first ballot Hall of Famer?
just another outing where you can kind of build on it. Like, I don't think he needs to go in there and prove that he's the Kershaw of old, but just have a competitive game, keep the Dodgers in the game, keep the Diamondbacks at bay, and you'll be fine with that. You don't need them to go out there and throw 9 shutout innings because we know what the lineup can do. We know what they're probably going to do. It's going to be good. They're going to score runs. So just give the Dodgers a chance to win, and that's all you need from Kershaw.
Absolutely. Yeah, with same thing on Clayton Kershaw here. It's limit, the big swing. For the love of God, limit the big swing. Ball's going to carry. It's going to be toasty, very toasty in Arizona. So just limit the big swing there. Against Zach Gallen, I was Will, don't throw the fastball. we'll know right away. We'll know right away with that slider, how he's working it. When Clayton Kershaw has been at his best in, his last handful of outings, it's even him. He spoke on manipulating the shape of his slider and turning into more than just one recognizable plane and working it off each other. But he's got to be able to find some fastball command. Same thing. A lot of the same thing with a lot of these guys. But Zach Gallen, I want to see the Dodgers do just what they did to Corbin Burns. Be patient, hit the mistakes, take care of business there. Against these front-end starters, it's been a barometer for me all season. But I'm really looking forward to, the top end of the lineup, Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie Freeman will be back in there against Zach Gallen. And I see right on cue, Jason. I'm excited to see Shohei versus Zach Gallen. Absolutely. What about you, man? Like, where are you at with the offense, and what do you expect? I don't want to what you think. What are you expecting the offense to do?
I just expect more of what they've been doing so far since they've got healthy and made their trade acquisitions. The lineup has been taking quality at bats for the most part. They've won games by putting together like the small ball rallies. They've won games by hitting the homer when needed. And of course, they always have the few games where things just don't go right for them and they score 2 runs or whatever. Like, that's going to happen in baseball. But as long as the at bat quality is good and they hit the ball hard, and like, I'm going to be happy with that. Things aren't always going to go well for the offense, but just take quality at bats and don't do what they did in the postseason last year. Don't wait till you're in 0-2 counts and then swing at everything because you need to chase and expand the zone. Don't do what they did the other night where the umpire was giving pitches like an inch off the plate and the hitters just weren't swinging and they're striking out. Like, those are things where you're not taking quality at bats there. And that's when there's a problem with the offense.
You got to adjust.
If you go up there and have a 9-pitch at bat and you end up striking out, like, you can live with that. That's a good at bat there. If you go up there and you hit the ball hard on the first pitch and it's 100 miles an hour, but it's a line drive at someone and it's an out, like, you can live with that. Just take good at bats. It's all you need from this team right now. And that's what they've been doing for the most part.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially against what Zach Gallen's been bringing to the table in his last 39 and a third innings, he's got 20 walks. So make him work, please. He's giving it to you. A 1-4 or something whip. I can't pull this over, but he's giving opposing teams the opportunity. Do not let him off the hook. Make him work counts, punish the mistakes. Do what Teoscar Hernandez did against Corbin Burns there with runners on base, work some counts, and when you get a mistake, you hang it, you bang it, do some damage there, take advantage, of the stadium there. And I'm confident. I'm confident with what they're doing right now. Hopefully, Freddie Freeman a couple of days off. He got that blow, and then you can really kind of get that top end of the order, find a rhythm, get him back at first base, and we'll see what they could do, man. I'm optimistic. Chat, I really want you to let us know here, kind of 1 to 10. What's your level of optimism going into the Arizona Diamondback series with the Dodgers? And if you want to say some expectations, let us know too. We read through all of those. If you're listening postcast, toss your expectations in our comment section. Blake and I are pretty active in those. We usually will double back on some comments, have some conversations with people in there. But we want to give out to the shout out to the 1,200 people in here. Late stream as usual. Later following a game tonight though. Across all social media platforms here. Godfrey, a little bit nervous. You want to be positive. It's nerve-wracking because of the division and the stakes at hand. I don't have the exact number from what the division lead was last year, but it was a runaway. Like, it's that division lead where it's always nice to have a cushion, right? But the problem is when we get to the last week or so, Blake, and then we've been dealing with the team on having like a tough run of offense, not scoring runs. They're kind of not taking care of business on a lot of important areas. And we're saying, where's the fire? Where's this, where can you rise up to it? Are they going to be able to do it? And then what they do, go out and they, pitching staff didn't take care of business, but the offense didn't do them any favors either,
Yeah, for sure.
All right. We got one super chat here. Todd Geirman, always appreciate you, man. Every single time, supporting us. We appreciate these super chats here. Can we get Will Smith an appointment with Kike's optometrist? Thanks, Scott and Blake. Thank you, Todd. Always, man. Blake, where can you think you can make some calls here?
The thing with Will Smith is he's so good in the first half of the season. Like, I don't think it's an eye problem or anything like that because of that. And it's been a consistent trend over the last few years now where he's great in the first half and then falls off in the second half.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was last year or the year before he had the rib injury. I don't remember what year it is. They kind of blend in together after they lose in the playoffs. So Forgive me there. But I think we kind of brushed it off because of that a bit. And yeah, I mean, I don't know what's going on with him. They keep denying that it's any fatigue or anything physical with him. So I just don't know. It's very confusing. I don't know what to make of it. I think he's working to try and get through it, but the mental and physical grind of being a catcher at the major league level is a lot. And it's why so many guys do have struggles putting up offensive numbers from the catcher position and why it's so rare to have good hitting catchers. But it is something where they keep denying that it's any fatigue. They've tried to give him a lot of days off this year. We've seen our fair share of Austin Barnes in the lineup this year to many complaints on social media. So I just don't really know what it is. And I think the Dodgers might be trying to figure that out as well. Brings
us to another point. I mean, I don't know how significant it is, but Dalton Rushing, catching an OKC. It's crazy. I'm not going to be like they're entertaining that because it's something that just have the odds of that going on in taking significant time there. At the very least, it adds to the conversation of, are they entertaining anything? Or you think that's just because they want to, ease him back into catching at AAA?
I think it's more focused on Dalton Rushing than anything with Will Smith.
Yeah.
I think they still view him as a potential catcher in the long term. They said they're going to play him only in left field for the rest of the season, but it's good to have the versatility. I don't think there's any chance the Dodgers have a rookie catcher starting for them in the playoffs. I think Will Smith, with whatever offense he provides with his defensive ability, is going to be more valuable to them than whatever offense Rushing would provide. I think if he was to be on the team, it'd probably be as a potential outfielder / pinch hitter kind of role. So maybe as a backup catcher over Austin Barnes is something they do in the postseason, but I just don't see them carrying him as a potential starting catcher over Will Smith or anything.
Yeah, I'm with Ira. I don't see him coming up. I don't think that's going to be going on at all, but it's definitely worth the conversation of, what do they do with Will Smith? That the question of fatigue and this happening, the last few years of this second half lull he goes through, Is it something that the Dodgers actually have to account for? Or because there's a trend going on. Last year, he had a 90 WRC plus for the second half of the season. Leading into tonight's game, I mean, it stays the same, but I believe since the All-Star break, he's had a 37 WRC plus. And I see people talking about that. Yeah, back of the baseball card says he's going to figure it out. I totally agree with you. Like, it's hard for me to jump off, anything. I'm not jump off. I don't do the buy stock thing like that. Like, Will Smith can turn it around at any time. I'll just say, yeah, it's because he's a professional hitter. He's one of the best offensive catchers in ball, and things go on, guys go through it, but he's shown it in the big moments consistently through a regular season that he can be one of the best offensive catchers in the game. Early in the season, he was one of the number one guys against left-handed pitchers in all of Major League Baseball. And tonight, he's not in there against a lefty who's been absolutely garbage. So it's a thing where I don't know if it's what Daniel Hudson's going through, that you need a mental break, you need a reset. There has been some stuff about, hand placement and his mechanics from that sense. But for whatever it is, it's going to be a very important month for Will Smith looking ahead right now, just because he's a key cog, man. He definitely is a key cog. It's not something that they can just absorb and be, us being okay with him going, 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts and not doing much of anything else. They're going to need him, man.
Yeah, I do think a good thing for the Dodgers is they have a very good lineup where if Smith doesn't figure it out, they're still probably going to be okay. Of course, the lineup completely changes just when he is on his game and hitting well. It changes the outlook of everything, makes their lineup that much deeper, but you still have a top 3 or even top 4 or 5 that are all going to be producing. So you could probably live with just some of the defensive value he's going to bring over needing the offense to get back. But another point I was thinking about when it was first brought up about rushing going back to catcher is they got rid of Hayward and kind of left open the spot for a left-handed bench bat in the postseason.
Sure.
Maybe rushing is kind of trying out for that role, as replacing Austin Barnes on the roster as your backup catcher and primary left-handed hitter.
And maximize the stuff here.
They kind of explore there, because right now their lefty bench options are not great. Like, who do they have there? Technically, no one. It's
Kevin Kiermaier.
Yeah, it's like Kevin Kiermaier is your lefty bench bat, and that's just not ideal. So maybe that was part of the reason they also moved on from Hayward. They're thinking rushing could come up at some point and be that lefty off the bench. You're replacing Austin Barnes instead of someone who brings value with their defensive versatility. So I'm not sure it'll happen, but I think it might be something they consider.
Yeah. For the now, Rod, you had the same thought. Will Smith's been terrific in throwing runners out. Run prevention is paramount. It's a big, big deal. And he's been one of, if not the best. He's 100th percentile in that category there, throwing runners out. And I think that just for the now, I would like to see him, if he's in the lineup, bat him 7 through 9. Keep him there until he figures it out. Don't move him around. Don't put him in those spots. Let him figure it out. Go through the thing. Why are you smirking? What are you smiling about?
Yeah. The comment about might as well have Kershaw pinch hit if you're going to have Kiermaier. Let's give a little more respect to Kiermaier. Like, he's got speed and he's been pretty solid since coming over to the Dodgers. I don't trust his bat there, but he's better than Kershaw. Let's give him that.
You guys know our angle with Kevin Kiermaier, and we cooked on Kevin Kiermaier for a bit, like the reason why he's on the thing. Bob Nightingale, shout out to you, man. We saw you in here. What'd you miss? The Dodgers beat the New England Patriots 6-3. Mac Jones came back, could only get them in a field goal range. Dodgers win 6-3.
So yeah, make sure to tweet that, Bob.
Bob, here you go, bro. All right. Yeah.
Why are we trashing the Patriots now?
I'd trashing Mac Jones, bro. That's all I got.
Real quick, for any football fans, can you all tell Scott that Will Levis is not good at football? Nope, this dude thinks he's the next Aaron Rodgers or something. Just tell
never said that.
Tell Levis to go put his mayo in his coffee and just be him, but he's not. He's not good.
Can't believe I struck a chord with Mac Jones. Get out of here, man. All right. Actual stuff. A lot of people were asking earlier in the stream about Freddie Freeman. Dave Roberts confirms that Freddie Freeman will be in the lineup on Friday. We know it's impactful. But what's the latest with Freddie? I know he had some funny quotes there. Dave Roberts did. What kind of were they?
Yeah, so Dave Roberts said the finger is still broken. That's what Freddie Freeman told him, which, of course, I thought that was pretty funny there. But he kind of alluded to the idea that they gave Freddie Freeman the 3 days off against the Orioles to make sure he would be as best he can be for the Diamondback series here, because they do understand the importance of it. It's still going to be something he has to manage and kind of deal with. It's like Dave said, the finger still has the broken bone in it, but hopefully the swelling has come down and he should be back in there, and hopefully they get him back on track, because before they gave him the time off, his swing was kind of falling out of line mechanically.
Yes.
There's some struggles defensively, and it just didn't look all that great. So they wanted to give him some time to heal as best as it can, reset, get his mechanics fixed, and not let it kind of spiral out of control and kind of get ahead of any potential issues that could arise even more so.
How many games do you expect Freddie Freeman to play of this series? Do you expect him to just be back and this is it, and that break was just, and now he's back to this, the Iron Man thing where he's out there every day?
Robert said there's going to be no limitations on Freeman when he comes back, so I do expect him to be in there every game. I don't totally buy that. I think they're going to kind of give him a day here and there to manage his finger and see how swelling is and all that. If there's a day where he gets jammed on a pitch and it affects him a lot more, like, wouldn't be totally surprising if he's out the next day or anything. It's going to be something they have to manage for a little bit, but general consensus for Dave Roberts is that he's going to be out there on an everyday basis.
And I'm very happy that, it's timely, one, but getting Freddie Freeman back against, Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, who has struggled. He has struggled since he's, come back this year, and against Brandon Pfaadt, who made a name for himself in the 2023 postseason. I'm very happy that Freddie Freeman's going to be back right in the heart of the Dodgers order there. But I'm very pleased to bring this up here. Bob, thanks for bringing the heat. As always, you're my number one newsbreaker. Patriots blow per sources. Any rebuttal there, buddy?
Just Super Bowl champions. I do have this shirt on right now.
This is insane.
I'm just saying.
This is insane. So you get to just, what year were you born again?
96.
Okay. All right. You just decided I'm just going to hop into this Patriots dynasty and it's mine.
Not really. The person who got me into watching football was my cousin, and he was a Patriot fan. So I was watching games with him and I latched onto them at that time. I think it was 2009 was the first year. No, 2006. It was the year they lost to the Colts in the AFC Championship game, and that was the first game I remember watching. I was rooting for them. I was borrowing his jersey and wearing it. It was a little heartbreaking. And then the next year they had their undefeated season until the Super Bowl, and that really pulled me in a lot more. And since then, I had to watch them lose a few Super Bowls before I finally saw them win 3.
Oh no!
So, yeah.
Oh no!
It's tough. It's tough.
Oh
here.
no! All right. Well, Bob, shout out to you, man. Yes, Brandon, we're gonna stick to baseball. Yeah. We're not gonna get into we're not gonna let him reminisce over the Brady years. Blah blah blah.
If we get super chats about it, we gotta talk about him.
Deflate Blake. Deflate Blake. That's gonna be the scandal.
We can debate that one on Twitter if you want. Innocent.
Oh my God. All right. Any final thoughts on Freddie Freeman before we just open it up to questions there?
Yeah, he's good at baseball.
Perfect. All right, guys. As always, we appreciate you being here. We're going to just toss it into questions. If you've got anything pressing that we missed along the way, we covered quite a lot. All caps question, toss it in there. We've got enough room for a little bit tonight. We won't keep you here too late. It's 11:30 here. Thanks for joining us on the late stream here. Thankfully, following a Dodgers win, Dodgers take care of business against the Baltimore Orioles. 4 games up on the Diamondbacks, 5 games up on the San Diego Padres. And the Diamondbacks have a tough schedule in the month of September following the Dodgers series. So we'll see how that goes. It's just a matter of taking care of business here. All right, Blake, anything you see right away, toss it up, bro.
I've seen a lot of people asking about Tommy Pham since he was placed on waivers today. So is he a good move or just kind of playing with fire? The most I've seen about him was comparing him, like, should they replace Kiermaier with him? And I think I'm going to kind of speak for you here as well. I don't think Pham is a fit for this team anymore with how their roster is constructed. We both wanted him a lot before all the trades, but they have since filled those. They had to move on from Jason Hayward because they don't have outfield room. You'd essentially be replacing Miguel Rojas with Tommy Pham. And I'm not sure there's a huge offensive change there. Like, you might get a little more upside with Tommy Pham, but Rojas has been great this year, and you're losing a ton defensively. You'd be going from Tommy Edman and Kevin Kiermaier in center field to Tommy Pham in center field, and just doesn't fit for this roster anymore.
I agree. Absolutely agree. Scooter Booter, toss that one up. I got it. Who's the Snakes hitter you are more cautious the most? I know what you mean. You most cautious with?
Rake McCarthy.
Rake McCarthy? I'm just going to say Jock just because, like, he could do damage always with one swing. And homers from him hurt more. I don't care what anybody says. Those ones hurt more because, one, former Dodger legend, have to respect him. And two, it's always a nuke every single time.
Yeah, Jock's a good answer.
Like Cattell, it would be Cattell because Cattell's been terrific this year. But always Christian Walker, but same thing. We miss them. Gabby Moreno's been solid lately, but hasn't really played, been hurt. I think he's hurt the rest of the year. Pretty sure. Yeah, he had early on, he was solid, but a lot of flashbacks to the postseason last year for sure. But Jock's going to be my number one. All right. Who is the best major leaguer to come out of CSUN? Adam Kennedy? Blake would know more than I.
It probably is Adam Kennedy. The Angels currently have Kenny Rosenberg, I think his name is, on their roster. Another CSUN guy. It's a pretty slim list, so yeah, it's definitely Adam Kennedy.
John Salas would have been the next great, but career cut short.
Yeah. I know Denzel Clark, A's prospect, got to write about him and did an interview feature on him. He's an exciting prospect. He's not top 100 yet or anything, but he's got some tools, so he could be someone who comes up and kind of carries the CSUN legacy a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. NS, thanks for joining me on the Clint stream earlier on. Again, everybody, if you followed me from, that one on to here, joining Blake and I, we appreciate you as always. Question, does Dave Roberts see Chris Taylor's performance today and say to himself, I like these, quote, yep, Taylor's ready for the postseason? I mean, he was going to be regardless. Like, it didn't matter about those, but like Taylor was going to be postseason ready no matter what, even with the barrels are overrated knocks, right?
I mean, I don't think Dave Roberts actually views Chris Taylor as a quality player that they're going to rely on the postseason. He's not going to publicly come out and trash Chris Taylor and say, like, this guy's terrible or anything.
Yeah.
He's going to back his players up when he's talking about him, and that's what it is. But Dave Roberts knows, like, Chris Taylor is not the guy he's going to rely on at a big pinch hit moment. Like, he's on the roster for his defensive versatility and because he's making a lot of money. And it's not because, like, Dave Roberts thinks he's a guy who's going to come in and contribute big hits for them. It's just, it is what it is there.
Yeah, with the DH and a lot of these guys, like, not having these major reverse splits, pinch hitting stuff, barring anything else, like, it's not going to be CT3 having significant time unless there's some injuries on the roster. But Kike Hernandez having that success versus a lefty, puts it into a spot where, hey, didn't we talk about the platoon thing? You were on that first. You were telling me that the platoon with Gavin Lux, Kike Hernandez at second base, right?
Yeah, unless they decide to go with Mookie moving into the infield and putting Paz in right field, which I do think would be their best option, but depends on how much they're willing to move Mookie around.
Sure. Godfrey, another super chat as always. Thank you, man. Not sure if you guys already said it. What is your prediction for the Diamondbacks series? Blake, you said 3 of 4, right?
I said 3 of 4. The Diamondbacks are pretty injured, and the Dodgers have their pitching injuries, but the Diamondbacks without Christian Walker and Ketel Marte are not the same team there. They're a good team still, but it's just not the Diamondbacks that we know and can be scared of as much.
Yeah, their offense can light up the scoreboard. They take care of business when they, mistakes are made. Against the Marlins, there was, crazy comeback stuff. Corbin Carroll just the other night, big swing, made the Mets pay. They'll work counts. They'll take advantage of the mistakes. But to what Blake said, I agree with him. 3 or 4 would be delightful. I will settle for a split because of where they're at, 4 games up, and live with that. Leave Arizona, 4 games there. Let them deal with their own fate, just as long as it doesn't get any crazier than that. And then we'll chat, we'll chat after that. It's going to be nice on Tuesday night afterwards, right?
Yeah.
All right. When will there be a Blake bobblehead, and how long will the line be to get one?
Surely Blake Trinan, right? Right?
Has
That's what
to
we're
be.
talking about here. Yeah.
All the Blakes. Line up all the Blakes. Okay, let's get a real thought-provoking one. So is Freddie going into the postseason with a fractured finger? Yes.
Dave Roberts said the timeline was 4 to 6 weeks for the finger to heal. So if you believe that, no. If you don't, then probably. I don't know.
Raise your hand if you believe that.
I broke my finger before, and it was probably around that timeline, but I wasn't playing baseball during it, and I had surgery on it. So I think he'll be okay for the postseason.
Yeah, I agree. That's a good bit of time. It was just like the first little bit there, wearing a bandage, big bandage on his hand. Then you could see some hiccups there. Dwayne Sanchez fan says he's in line right now for the Blake bobblehead, so you better have him. I'll break down your door.
I think if we get 5, we'll probably have enough for everyone that shows up.
Joe Ryan went to CSUN legend.
He did, but he wasn't drafted out of CSUN. He transferred to another college, so I don't know if we fully count him. Yeah.
Wow.
Not a true door.
Raise the doors. Loyal listener Brandon Gutierrez, and you're, discrediting him right away. Makes me sick. All right, Howie Land. Question, what kind of season did CT3 have to explain the big contract that looks awful today? Loaded question. Lot to get into with this one, Howie. Oh, man. See Blake, he's typing.
I am pulling up his Fangraphs page.
Massive, early production, swing change, immediate slug, completely turns himself around there, is a consistent contributor. The trending downward happened, and he got rewarded, but extremely versatile player. But it looks wild. Like, to give a contract to a guy that's currently at this spot. I mean, hindsight's always a thing, but man, it's a completely different player now.
I mean, from 2017 to 2021, Chris Taylor was a 116 weighted runs created plus guy with 15 wins above replacement. So an average of 3 wins per year. He had peaks of a 130 weighted runs created plus guy. I mean, 20 homer power with versatility. He was a really big part of the Dodgers for quite a while. And it's unfortunate he fell off, but I mean, a lot of times in free agency, you do pay for what players have done in the past versus what they're going to do moving forward. Because that's how free agency is set up, and that's how it works. So, I mean, I think in hindsight, you'd say, like, yeah, don't give them that deal. But if you were to, I think we were all happy about that deal when they signed him to it at the time. Everyone was happy to have Chris Taylor back. So it's hard to look back and say, oh, they shouldn't have done it or anything, because things happen, things change, and he was a big part of the Dodgers, and they needed him at the time.
You guys are great in the comments tonight. Chat, you guys are awesome today. It's a good question. Are there any chances, are there any concerns with Joe Kelly and Daniel Hudson? And are there any other options? Well, first, talk about Daniel Hudson from tonight, and then Joe Kelly. We know that we've just received quite a big mixed bag from him. And Dave Roberts has even said himself, and what from we kind of see, some nights he's going to have it. Some nights he's absolutely not. Like, his stuff will always look good. Is it around the strike zone or in the opposing batter's box? It's a different story.
Yeah, Joe Kelly is probably the most inconsistent reliever in baseball. There's some games he looks like he is unhittable and the filthiest pitcher of all time. And then the next time he comes out, he can't find the strike zone. The ball ends up in the other dugout. He has no clue where it's going. And that's the Joe Kelly experience, which I think has been trademarked on Twitter. So it's always going to be a mixed bag with him. I'm not sure how how much we want to rely on that in big moments or anything, but depending on the version of Joe Kelly you're getting, it's always going to be different. And then with Daniel Hudson, he's thrown a lot of innings this year. He is near the end of his career, and he hasn't pitched this much in quite a while. So there are concerns there about the workload and everything there. That's why they gave him the 10-day break to give him that reset, but still didn't look good today. So that is definitely a concern. Other options, they're hopeful Brewstar comes back. He's supposed to start his rehab soon. He was testing out his hamstring today. So there's an option for you. We've talked about Edgardo Henriquez as a potential option a lot. They could maybe throw Robleski or Knack into the bullpen. Michael Grove is in AAA. Our guy, JP Fireisen, has kind of turned it around a bit in AAA. I'm not sure. I don't think he's going to get a chance again this year, but I mean, crazier things have happened. So they're kind of limited in options, but they do have some intriguing options, I'd say.
Is Dwayne Sanchez, is Joe Kelly going to meme himself another 4 years this October? No. This is it. Farewell tour. This is it. This is it for him. This is it. All right. Give me 2 more, and then we got to call it. 2 more.
What did we not get? I'll throw this one up just while we're looking. I have not asked players for an autograph as media. It's not allowed. So, no. I have as a fan before I was in media, but since then, no.
Yeah, no. Big no.
I think there's 2 more here. These are the ones we haven't got to that I have marked.
Does D-backs not having Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, and the Dodgers not having Yoshinobu Yamamoto or Tyler Glasnow in the series not a good predictor if the Dodgers face the Diamondbacks in the playoffs? It's a good question. It's a very good question.
I'll start by saying I don't think any regular season game is a good predictor for the playoffs, as we have seen in every single year ever. Like the Padres just dominating, or the Dodgers in the playoffs, but the Dodgers dominated the Padres in the regular season all year. And then the Dodgers last year against the Diamondbacks losing after beating them a lot in the regular season. It's just, you never know. I know my parents, because that was the teams they grew up watching, like the 1988 Dodgers and Mets series. My dad is a Mets fan. My mom's a Dodger fan. So that series, my dad was very confident going into it, and the Mets ended up losing with the Dodgers going on to win the World Series. So you just never know. When the postseason, everything resets. There's no real good indicators in the regular season at all.
Dang, if I was your dad, I'd be pissed. Blake's dad, if you're watching this, just, don't reply to him. Leave him on red for like 3 days. Yeah, that's nuts. He brought up a ridiculous memory. Sorry, man.
He always wants me to
a hater.
Bring up the Mets and comment on his questions. So I'm throwing them up. And he always reminds me about the Dolphins winning their undefeated season because he's a Dolphin fan.
Football again, this guy.
So, yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm just throwing out reasons.
Right on. All right. We'll wrap it there. Everybody in chat, 1200. We appreciate you guys. Silence on a certain bullpen option is deafening. Who's he talking about there?
Dwayne Sanchez.
Dwayne Sanchez. Yeah, I mean, let's bring it back. Run it back. Give me to bring in oh my gosh, it's gonna bug me. Who did Ned Coletti sign to that extension?
Everyone?
It was terrible. No. I got
Brandon League,
Brandon
Perez.
League. Yeah, I'll bring up Brandon League. I'll bring up Brandon League. Bring him back. Run it back. Brandon League, 9th inning guy, 2024 bullpen. We're going to call it right there. I'm Scott Geirman. This is Blake Williams. We appreciate you all joining in to DodgerHeads Postgame Edition, Thursday edition. Thanks for staying up with us late. Don't forget, hit the like, subscribe button, notification bell. If you're listening post-VOD, make sure you leave a comment in there. Let us know your thoughts. Let us know your thoughts on the MVP from this game tonight on Thursday. And let us know your expectations for the series coming up with the Diamondbacks. Blake and I both think it's a pivotal game, or pivotal 3-4 game set here, 4 games. And with Justin Robleski getting the start on Sunday potentially, and how that's going to impact it. We appreciate you guys. You all take care. Enjoy the rest of your night. Go Dodgers.